The interesting thing about Antifa is that it's not an organization. It is a philosophy and an ideology. Antifa believes that it's morally justifiable to attack people simply because you disagree with them politically. Within Antifa itself, there's a lot of different groups that you'll find. A lot of the members may do it for animal rights or for anti-capitalism, pro-socialism. Personally, when I was in Antifa, a lot of the activism I did was for animal rights. But once they come together in the black bloc and behind the black mask, they kind of forget all that. They go for that common goal of silencing whatever their opposition at the moment is. And oftentimes we've seen them silence people simply for political disagreements.
Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This includes Antifa and others who are leading instigators of this violence.
In summer of 2018, I wrote a piece for the Wall Street Journal about the 5-week occupation and siege of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Portland. And I wrote very critically of what I saw, in addition to the breakdown of law and order in that neighborhood in Southwest. We saw people affiliated with extreme left-wing movements in Portland, like Antifa, terrorizing those who lived in that community. Business owners in those areas, I interviewed those who were affected. Things became violent when Antifa amassed at the Cider Riot pub in Northeast Portland for their after party. One of the masked militants, a patron from the pub, ran from the property directly to me and sprayed me with a chemical that blinded me and burnt my skin on my face. From there, the following month, at the end of June, was when I was beaten and robbed in the now infamous incident that was partially captured on video. Yo! This park right here to the left is where Antifa frequently gathers and meets. On the 29th of June, this whole street had been shut down in an unlawful demonstration by masked Antifa militants and their allies with the Democratic Socialists of America. Before I got to the front of the crowd, probably right around here, because I remember this building with these two iconic sculptures, somebody or something hit me hard on the back of my head and knocked me forward. And before I could even catch my footing, then the punches came from every direction, and all I saw were fists and people dressed in black, people wearing masks. I remember trying to block my face, and they just kept hitting the back of my head and the top of my head when I thought it was over. Then next came this hailstorm of milkshakes, eggs, and other hard objects. I was drenched head to toe, I was bleeding, my earlobe was ripped, my eyes were swelling with blood. I just kept walking, thinking at any point, police are going to come and help me. They never did. The city has had, by this point, years of protests that turn into riots, and they still have not learned from any of the mistakes of the past. They have not evolved and changed their policing tactics. Over and over, it's always what is now a mantra for them, that they will not go in to intervene because it could incite the mob.
Such senseless acts of anarchy are not exercises of First Amendment rights. They are crimes designed to terrify fellow citizens and intimidate communities. There are groups that exploit the opportunity to engage in such crimes as looting. We have evidence that Antifa and other similar extremist groups have been involved in instigating and participating in the violent activity.
First order of business is you have to cut off the wellspring where their ideology comes from. And it's coming from the university, it's coming from academic departments. Our universities are teaching people totally deranged ideas, anti-democratic ideas, and it's not just that they're far left ideas. They're ideas that are untethered to reality, dealing with race and gender and trans issues, for example, things that revolve around identity. They're teaching people these ideas. They're not hearing other sides of the coin. So they're all in their little safe spaces. They don't hear anything. And then when they do encounter something, they're so brittle, he's a Nazi. He's got to be a Nazi. Punch him. We got to overthrow the fascists.
It has to do with the fact that so many college administrators and college campuses that allow Antifa to work under their noses. We don't allow ISIS to recruit on college campuses, and we should not allow Antifa to do that either.
Almost all of them are explicitly involved in it. It's less so universities, and it's more so particular departments within universities. We call these grievance studies, departments that teach students to look for grievances everywhere. Racial grievances, gender grievances, any kind of perceived or historical injustice. But these are coming from very specific departments. The nucleation point would be women's studies, gender studies, anything with the word studies in it. But when you look at it in terms of race or gender, and you train people to perennially think about grievances, they've been aggrieved, how can we overthrow this, there's oppression everywhere, you create some very unhappy, very dyspeptic people who manifest that through physical violence and silencing others, right? These are not open-minded people who like to listen to you and engage ideas. The university explicitly states, at Portland State University's Women's Studies page, the word activist or some variant thereof is found 7 times. We are creating activist students. And what are they activists for? They're activists to find grievances in literally everything.
I don't really have any strong feelings towards them or against them. As a group, it's about some of the individuals that act out in extreme ways, especially in regards to like reacting with violence. That's the stuff that I start to kind of get a check on.
I guess like I agree with their message that like neo-Nazis should be stopped, but I don't know if I really agree about violence.
On one hand, I'd say hit the Nazis, go for it. On another hand, I think I would probably want to go on a case by case because I don't know the context of Antifa to that degree.
I do have reservations about their methods at times. That being said, I mean, even though I have mixed feelings about their methods, I do stand for what they are talking about, and so I do support that.
It's a very loosely organized group, and they have sort of a unique or unusual system of communication and organization. There appear to be sources of funding, and we are looking into the sources of funding. And there is clearly some high degree of organization involved at some of these events, and coordinated tactics that we're seeing, and we're looking into that as well.